Even if you brush in a rush, Brisk Fluoride Toothpaste starts instant action against tooth decay. Brisk, B-R-I-S-K, Brisk.
Welcome back to the Timeless Cocoon, WKBUPS Radio Theater. This is Fanny Luce Poopupsky, better known as UPS. This is the first in a series of visits with people whose lives have been filled with music. When I was in Lenox, Massachusetts this past May, I met 4 composer, musician, educators who had never played together before. They were in Lenox as part of a weekend music workshop residency. They were improvising the finale of Playwright Karen Setlowe's experimental audiovisual play, Intellectual Jazz, a timeless love affair with rhythmic healing, Part 2. During the residency, the group was invited to sit in with the Amy Ryan Band at Lenox's Firefly Gastro Pub. The bond created within the group led to their being dubbed the Rhythmic Healing Ensemble, and they hope to share their improvisational healing music within educational workshops. The YouTube Intellectual Jazz Parts 1 and 2 videos have caught the attention of Boston University's Professor of Ethnomusicology, Leland Clark, who intends to incorporate Intellectual Jazz Parts 1 and 2 into a music class at BU. Perhaps, as the video suggests, it's time that we think of musicians as co-responders for healing trauma. I'm pleased to introduce on the Timeless Cocoon composer, musician, educators Mark Smith, Mark Zanter, Ken Field, and April Centrone. Their music and special stories were captured during the Lenox residency by videographer Kira Sanchez and sound engineer Mark Zanter. Smith, how did you get started in music?
For me, it started when I decided to go professional. And I went to audition for a entertainment company in Florida. And when I got down there, I could read music, I could play music, I could read dots like anybody. But I got down there and I played my dots fabulous. I didn't play my dots and they said, "Here, play this chord chart." And I said, "What's chords?" And they looked at me and they said, "Well, try to play these chords in a swing style." And I looked at it and I said, "Okay." So I played what I thought was my best swing style. And then they said, "Well, take these same chords and play them in a Latin style." And it's amazing how much my Latin and my swing sounded exactly the same. So I did not get hired this particular audition, but it taught me a lot of things about what I needed to do to make myself a lot better, to make this, I don't call it a job. It is a passion. It gave me the opportunity and the incentive to go out and learn more about what I needed to do to make it.
What makes musicians special?
People who are not having the best of days. If you go sit and you listen and you just play for people, that all of that bad stuff goes away. Everything goes away for them, and they just sit and enjoy, and it makes what is finding ways to make people better. Not just because of what we do, but it's because music, no matter what form, tends to touch people in ways that we never know.
Zanter, what connects you to music?
From my earliest stages, I think it's just, for me, it's just really all about making sounds. and experiencing sounds. And I think from my earliest experiences, it was really a lot about singing to the radio, listening to music, making sounds with my mouth, making sounds, percussing toys, and doing things of that nature. And I started doing music when I was pretty young, probably first grade, 5 or 6 years old. Started playing piano, but piano really wasn't my calling. I had, I think it probably would have worked out for me, but I just had a teacher that didn't really work for me, so I ended up quitting studying piano and moved on. I think that what turned me on to playing guitar, which is what I'm holding here, is seeing some television programs with pop music from the day. I saw Beatles on Ed Sullivan. I saw excerpts of Jimi Hendrix playing at Monterey Pop Festival. And that, when I saw Hendrix play, it was like he was a wizard on the instrument, and he could make sounds that I just couldn't even imagine. So at that point, I was really hooked.
How old were you when you knew you wanted a life in music?
But I never thought I was going to go into music until about the third year of my college degree program. I was studying sciences, chemical engineering, and I just decided to really go in a direction where I felt I had the most passion and most desire. And I mean, that was 40 years ago. I feel like that particular decision was just kind of a fork in the road kind of decision, and have absolutely no regrets. I think as someone who has more of a scientific mind, being a composer is something that's very interesting to me. I love working with sounds. I love coming up with sound structures and thinking about how to shape sounds into larger pieces of music. So with regards to feeling music, playing music with other people, it's an amazing joy. It's an amazing gift that we can share with each other. It's an extremely unique experience when you can sit down with a group of musicians and play music without having any notion of what you're going to do before you start. Right? And everybody brings to it their own skills, their own techniques, their own ideas, and everybody has to bring to it their ears and their experience, which helps make the sounds that the individuals are making a grander or larger than the whole. And I think this is the thing that's the most amazing thing about making music, is that you're creating something in time. Every moment occurs. When that moment passes, it's gone. You move to the next moment, and yet you experience the entire of a performance from beginning to end during that performance, and enjoy the elation of making sound, the joy of sharing it with other people, and the joy of sharing that with an audience. And I think that's really, it's one of the most important things about making music.
Ken, how does music make you feel?
Music is magic. What's magical about music? Well, music transforms a room. Music transforms a mind. Music transforms an audience. Music changes the way I feel about the world. When I'm playing with people, when I'm playing by myself, I'm communicating something inside me that I can't communicate with words, that I can't communicate any other way. The way I communicate my emotions, my inner feelings, is through my music. And I'm grateful for having the chance, having some level of ability to do that, some instruments, some saxophones, some flutes that I can use to communicate those kinds of things.
What music experiences have had the most impact on you?
I have had some amazing opportunities to play my music, with people, with some people I've never met. I've had the opportunity to play music with an ensemble in Japan where we couldn't communicate with words because they didn't speak English, I didn't speak Japanese, and we made a whole album of incredible music, totally improvised, no previous conception of what we were going to play, except I suggested, because the name of the club was in F, that we start in the key of F. I listened back to the recording. Of course, we actually didn't play in the key of F, but that was what we'd intended. I want to tell two stories about how music transforms and how music is magical. When 9/11 happened, New York was devastated. And it turned out that a band that I played with, a band called Birdsongs of the Mesozoic, was scheduled to play in New York at a club in early October, not too long after 9/11. And we had a debate in the band, should we play this gig? You know, should we impose ourselves on a city that was just torn apart and was emotionally devastated? Should we bring that extra baggage into the city just to play music? And we decided, yeah, we should. And we went down to New York, and we played. And one of the things we played was Terry Riley's In C. Terry Riley's In C is a very meditative piece. It's an interesting composition, but a very meditative piece. It goes on for a while. And when we were done with that piece, people were crying. People expressed their emotion, and I'm emotional about it right now. It was an incredible time, an incredible piece, an incredible thing to do, and it was magic. And what we realized was, if music is important in the world in general, it's super important in the world when there's something like that happens. It's super important to be able to have that communication with people that's not verbal. The other story I want to tell is about a memorial service. It was for my late wife, Karen Setlowe. And she was very interested in New Orleans second line music and New Orleans. And she requested that we play at her funeral the piece, I'll Fly Away. And we did that in the New Orleans style. We started out slow and dirge-like. And in fact, I started on the stage all by myself. And I was gradually joined by my friends one at a time, playing I'll Fly Away. And we played that, and we started marching out. And we transformed that song from a dirge to an up-tempo, joyful piece in the New Orleans style. And it was amazing. It was what she wanted. It was what I wanted. And it followed this incredible New Orleans cultural approach of merging joy and sadness at exactly the same time. And realizing that you can be sad and you can be happy. You can be sad at somebody's passing, and you can be happy that you had time to spend with them at the same time. And that was magic.
April, how did your music journey begin?
Well, I grew up in an artistic family. I was the only musician, I guess you could say. I was primarily raised by my grandmother, who was a feminist playwright, and made me love theater. And theater was, a kind of magic joining of all of the arts. So fascinating, and it also made, you could have one word or one sound, or one light, and all of the arts together could just create this perfect, I don't even think there's a word for it. I started drumming when I was, around 8 or 9. And which really filtered a lot of this energy, and I took to it very quickly. It was just something that engaged all of my limbs, and it was such an incredible instrument. got very quickly into jazz, just absolutely loved jazz. Jazz was always playing in the house. My first experience was around 19 years old of trance music was an all-night Indian concert, I remember. And at the end of that, I said, gosh, I know there's something here for me in old music and trance music and traditional music. And it was still like a little seed in me. I didn't really quite understand it.
How does music affect you on a deep level?
When my whole life changed in the middle of this violin solo, my goodness. And I remember every detail of that moment. My whole life swung on its axis, which was wonderful and terrifying because I knew nothing about that music at all. But I just knew I had to pursue it. So I looked up this guy, like, who is this guy? And found out he taught every year this it's called Arabic Music Retreat, and I went and there my whole world just, it just started. I met the community, I met the people, and one thing I remember, which was so frightening to me, people would play and sing and look into each other's eyes, And I said, Jesus, I want this, but this is terrifying to me, And playing music, it wasn't an option. It wasn't an option to not be emotional when you're playing, to not share love when you're playing. So it was something I immediately aspired to. And then the oud was a whole different expression, like I mentioned. Was this expression of utter love and emotion. And to this day, as you can tell, it's a challenge because I almost envy people who grew up with it, because how do you play and not cry? How do you keep yourself together? How do you go deep but not too deep and lose yourself and somehow be pulled back? So ultimately, in a nutshell, world music, Arabic music, for me was the key to music therapy, specifically when I pursued therapy and informed, this my own kind of music therapy. As musicians, we are moving things out, in such a world where we're so stuck and stuffed, literally and figuratively. We've got lots of stuff around us, inside us, and this particular music especially was a pushing out constantly. And it challenges me to this day, even to this literal day, because this morning we were playing and there's moments when you forget that you're trying to control yourself. You forget that you're trying to hold back. And you let go. And it's scary. It lives with other people and constantly trying to find that balance again.
Thank you all for visiting with me today. I leave you with this thought. Music vibrates through spirit, mind, body. Scientist Nina Kraus of Northwestern University is a leader among many who are studying the impact of music in our lives, not only for enjoyment, but as a developmental and healing necessity, and not just for individuals, but also for the social, cultural challenges we all face. The times we're living in seem appropriate for all of us to consider musicians as co-responders for healing trauma. Till we meet again, this is UPS signing off for WKBC-UPS Radio Theater.
Even if you brush in a rush, Brit Fluoride Toothpaste starts instant action against tooth decay. Brit, B-R-I-S-K, Brit